right. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We can see the participant numbers climbing as we go. Just as we kick off here, for everyone in attendance, feel free to introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, where you're joining from, what organization you're with. And as we go through this presentation today, our first of many product coffee chats, feel free to pop your questions into the chat. We've got a couple of Q&A periods. We'll also be keeping the Q&A feature live. So if you have a direct question that you want to ask myself or Emily, please pop that into the Q&A session or pop it into the chat. And we've got a couple of Riipeneers online today who might be able to answer your questions in the chat as well. So my name is Dana Stevenson, and I am the co-founder and CEO of Riipen, and I am joined today by the lovely Emily Mashing. Emily, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Mashing, Director of Product at Riipen. I've been with Riipen for 4.5 years now, and I'm responsible for the product department at Riipen, and I'll be telling you today a little bit about the features we've built over the last year and what we have upcoming over the next quarter.
Excellent. And as I said earlier, this is the first of many product coffee break chats that we will be hosting. Our goal is to really provide you with not only a snapshot of what has been recently built features, but also ones that are coming up in the next few months. One of the major most common questions that we always get from our clients is what's coming up next. So we're going to give you a little bit of a snapshot into that. We'll be hosting these more regularly on a quarter-by-quarter basis. So we look forward to getting your feedback. We'll actually be sending out a survey at the end of this, and in the spirit of continuous improvement, we not only do we would like to get feedback on our roadmap and our features, but we also would love to get your feedback on this session and how we can improve this session going forward so that we can make sure that you're getting the most out of your time with us today and in the future. So over to you, Emily, to walk through the agenda.
Awesome. Thanks, Dana. So we're going to be kicking us off with a retrospective. We'll be reviewing some of the recent features we've launched and not so recent, just because this is the first product coffee chat we've done. We'll actually be taking it back all the way to March 2020 to highlight a few things from the last year. We'll be talking a little bit about the redesign work we've done and also about the internship program feature that recently launched. Then we'll take you through upcoming feature releases for the upcoming quarter, some highlights and product metrics for you, and then make sure to allow some time for Q&A. So as Dana mentioned, sorry, I'm losing my voice, please do make sure to pop your questions in the chat, and then people can interact with them, or use the Q&A feature if you want to make sure that we see them for that Q&A period.
Excellent. Thank you, Emily. And obviously, we felt we could not host a product session without hearing from some of our learners. So we'd love to show our first video here from Riza from Red River College, speaking about the impact work integrated learning has had on her academic experience. Go ahead, Emma.
I'm a business administration student from Red River College, and I had a Riipen project in my marketing class. The business we worked with is a travel agency. It is based in New York. It was exciting and then at the same time challenging. Challenging in a way that our team wants to give the best solution as much as possible to our business partner. It's not just like finishing the course and then we want to add value. I would like to share with you the exact statement that she mentioned, because I kept a screenshot of it because I want to keep it. It's a nice thing to keep. The owner said, "I feel that Diversity Whisperer team did a great job understanding my business and researching the target market. They came up with great ideas to increase marketing efforts and explore new options for my business." So it's like after doing the project, that's like a one that she gets to appreciate it. I get to appreciate Red River College more because when I selected a college coming here, by the way, I'm an international student. So when I was choosing a college to enroll with, it's like I I selected Red River because of their statement of applied learning. So with this experiential learning, it's like I get to appreciate more the curriculum and the course design that they have made. With this experience, it's like I gain more confidence that I'll be able to do well in the real workplace because we did so well with our Riipen project.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that, Emily. Obviously, our North Star metric at Riipen is the student experience and number of student experiences and the quality of experiences. So always incredible to hear from some of our learners. I'll kick it over to you, Emily. Let's jump into our first section.
Awesome. Thanks, Dana. So we'll be starting with a retrospective here, going through some of the features we really wanted to highlight from the last year. This timeline here shows key features from since January 2020, but just due to lack of time, we won't be speaking about every single one. I'll be focusing on those that are highlighted in blue. So if you do have, if you have questions about anything we don't discuss, feel free to pop those in the Q&A too. Over the last year, one of the big themes was usability. So you'll see the word redesign mentioned several times here. Redesign is not just sort of a UI facelift. It's also making sure that we address the usability issues that users encounter and make our platform easier to use. So that was a consistent theme over the last year. And then there's some key new pieces of functionality that we'll be getting into as well.
Excellent. And, obviously, I mean, we are all incredibly proud of the incredible work that our tech team and product team have put into this roadmap and the number of features that have been launching over the last 12 months. But as Emily mentioned, obviously, there's not enough time in the day to go through and deep dive into all of these individual features. So, Emily, what do you say to anyone who is interested in learning more about these individual features and how they can use them to continue to innovate and deliver high impact work integrated learning with their students?
Yeah, if anyone wants to know more about any single feature or all of them, please shoot us an email at product@riipen.com and we can arrange a more detailed demo where we can actually walk through the feature live on the platform. Again, just in the interest of time, we won't actually be demoing these on the platform. We'll just be talking about the high level features and benefits. But I am always happy to demo the platform. So please do shoot us an email and we'll be more than happy to arrange a time for a walkthrough. I'm going to start us off going all the way back to March 2020, a very big month for many of us. This is a feature that is not exactly a feature, but it's one that we're particularly proud of. Dana, could you take us through this launch in March 2020?
Absolutely. For anyone on the call on the session today who's had a chance to interact with me, they probably know that I love the story behind and the why of what we're doing. And this is definitely an incredible example of that. Obviously, when March of last year, as Emily mentioned, it was when COVID hit last year, it was uncharted territory for everyone. And within a few weeks, we started getting a lot of calls from a lot of our partner institutions that they started noticing that traditional internships and traditional co-ops postings were down, or in some cases, even a worst case where internships were being canceled, offers were being rescinded. And so we were a little bit worried about what was going to happen on the Riipen platform, especially around our project-based experiences. But we quickly realized that because Riipen was always built to offer tools for virtual experiences. They can be done in person, of course, but also we have the tools to launch these experiences and for the students to engage with the companies virtually. We actually ended up seeing a less than 2% cancellation rate across all of our project-based experiences when the pandemic hit. So it made us start to think, is there something that we can do to help the community in this time of need? I'm incredibly proud of this team, this mission-driven team. We immediately sprung into action and we took our platform, which was at the time really focused on curriculum-embedded project-based learning and empowering faculty members to transform their courses into experiential courses, and we made it available to any schools that were interested in offering their students remote project-based internships. At the time, we were calling them virtual internships. And this was really a way, again, as I mentioned, for us to give back and to support career educators and students in this time of need. It was incredible. In a span of a couple weeks, we had over 50 schools sign up, posting open calls for projects that align with their students' career interests. to make sure that they had access to experiences that they may not normally have wouldn't have otherwise had access to given the current circumstances. And something else also really magical happened. We saw a 10x increase from April to May. We saw a 10x increase in company signups. We started noticing a huge amount of companies flooding to the Riipen platform to access innovative approaches to engage with talent that they needed in a lower touch, lower intensity type of engagement than a traditional 4-month internship. It was incredibly exciting to see, and also just in many cases to solve some of the challenges that they were facing, new challenges that they were facing going through digital transformation through the pandemic. In a matter of a few months, I'm incredibly proud to say that we helped nearly 1,000 students access work integrated learning experiences. It was a little bit clunky because the tools that we were using were the curriculum embedded, but we knew we were onto something when the federal government here in Canada took notice, and we were awarded a $12 million grant to fund paid project-based work integrated learning experiences as part of inclusive economic recovery. So if you're a Canadian in school and you're interested in learning more about that and how to support your students, we'll pop something in the chat there. You can take a look. It's called the Level Up program that just launched. We're super excited about it. If you're from anywhere else in the world, you want to learn more about these programs and how we can adapt them for what you're engaging in, please get in touch. But really, with no end in sight for the pandemic, our team, our incredible tech team and product team sprung into action and started to build a permanent feature called now remote internships. And Emily, do you want to talk a little bit about what that looks like today?
Absolutely. Thanks, Dana. So it's actually kind of a product person's dream to be able to fully test a product with thousands of users without actually changing your product. So we had the very unique and rare opportunity to run internships without any platform modifications and learn from our users in real time while they were actually doing this, what they were looking for. So it was an incredible learning opportunity for us, and we took what we learned over that period and built it into our new remote internships feature, which has now been live on the platform since late January 2021. So what this feature does is it takes what we found works well for us and worked well over that spring-summer 2020 period, where we are continuing to focus on project-based and virtual internship experiences. So you can use Riipen for in-person, but we really doubled down on project-based virtual experiences as being pandemic-proof, but also as being flexible and scalable for learners. In our new feature, an educator can post an internship program on Riipen to use to recruit companies for their students to work with. So similar to the course page framework many of you will be used to, as an educator, you set up your internship program and you can intake any number of employers to work with your students. Unlike the course page, this doesn't need to be time bound, so you can use your internship program to recruit companies month over month and even year over year. We've then built application systems, which was of course one of the main things that we were missing when we did the BOOTSTRAP launch last year. We built the application functionality so that students can apply directly to company projects without needing the intervention of a career services coordinator. Students can apply directly, employers screen those applications, and employers can approve them, and they can start collaborating directly in the platform. So we're proud to say we now have this as a live offering on the platform in parallel with the curriculum embedded options. So no drop-in support for that approach. It continues to be a very burgeoning and healthy side of our marketplace. But we are also seeing strong growth on the internship program side with 118 internship programs that have been published since January, 1,234 approved company projects under these programs, and almost 2,000 students who have been accepted into project-based internships. So we're really excited to see that with the proper tools, this can actually go much faster and much more efficiently than it does when you don't have them, and we're very happy to see this taking off.
Excellent.
So next, I'm going to go back in time again to May 2020. I wanted to highlight the launch of a new feature we call, or not so new anymore, but a new offering we call Riipen Academy. So one of our team will be posting the link to that in the chat. Riipen Academy is basically a resource for best practices. It's not quite like our help center, so you can always access help articles that help you navigate the website and common questions. Riipen Academy is really a source for how should I run experiential learning engagements and how should I interact with the other parties. It's really meant to be almost platform neutral. It's for anyone who's new, but even people who are experienced and maybe want some pointers from a community that's seen thousands and thousands of these experiences on how best to engage with the other parties in your experiential learning engagement and make sure that the outcomes are of a high quality. The Riipen Academy has been accessed by over 7,500 users since its launch in May 2020, and we're continuing to refine on this and improve it.
Excellent. I just want to touch here because, you know, this is one of the things that we talk a lot about here at Riipen, is that in the early days of Riipen, we made a very conscious and intentional decision to build Riipen with the concept of being an open and shared collaborative ecosystem. You know, it really, it's not just a place where companies connect to students or educators to bring work integrated learning into curriculum or into these internship programs, but it's also a place for peers to connect with each other and share best practices. And, you know, many of these best practices that you're seeing in this academy are best practices that we've from insights that we've gained from working with our community and individuals like you. So we hope this will be a helpful resource for you. We hope that you'll continue to share and really continue to drive innovative approaches to work integrated learning across the ecosystem.
Thanks, Dana. And then also in spring, summer last year, we launched several improvements to the school pass feature on Riipen. So school passes, for those who aren't familiar, essentially allow you to invite any employer from your own network to Riipen. They then get access to just your institution's content on Riipen. So you can ensure that your contacts are being promoted and applying to your content rather than content from other institutions, and making sure that they can interact with your students and creating opportunities for your community. Since June 2020, we've added these abilities to bulk invite up to 50 contacts at a time to make it easier for institutions to add their contacts, save employers time by actually creating a draft company and a draft project for them, that if you already know the employer and you already know loosely what project they want to work on with students, you can do some of the upfront legwork to make sure that the employer will follow through and finish off that project by removing a lot of the steps in the process for them.
Yeah, and this is an incredibly exciting feature that we've launched. I know many of our schools are taking advantage of it. You know, obviously, when we started Riipen, we really set out with the goal to make high quality, high impact project-based experiences abundant, no longer being a scarce resource. But there's still an incredible value. We hear this over and over again from our partners, that there's incredible value in engaging their own local networks and bringing on those local connections, especially with the goal of these becoming, turning into employment outcomes, valuable employment outcomes for the students. So we really like to think about Riipen and our engagement with our partner institutions like yourselves is building your own ecosystem, vibrant and active ecosystem within the Riipen's global ecosystem. And school passes have really been an avenue to do this. And the last thing that I'll just say on this that is incredibly exciting to me, and we're just starting to see it, is that we're now getting to that point where students who have been doing projects are now graduating and joining and joining organizations as employers. And this is creating a virtuous circle where those employers who were just recently students are now giving back and providing projects to the next generation students. And it just creates this virtuous circle. So if you're interested in exploring with us how we can help you create that virtuous circle with your alumni networks at your institution, please make sure that you reach out.
Thank you, Dana. So I'm now going to highlight the team page redesign, which, if I had to pick one, is my personal favorite feature release of 2020. The team page redesign is the single biggest change we've made to the student interface since the Riipen platform initially launched. So the team page redesign essentially took in a lot of the feedback we'd received from students over the years and vastly simplifies their use of the Riipen platform, so that they now have their team progress, their project content, their team chat, and their team members all embedded within a single page. So because some of our students, they are only coming onto Riipen for a brief time, they don't want to have to navigate a lot of different pages on the platform. They just want to have one central hub for their content. And that's what the new team page does. So it means that a student can complete a project in its entirety completely from this team page. It also adds some new content onto the team page as well, a comment feature. So when a student completes a milestone for their project, both the educator and employers can leave comments that the students are notified of in real time. Basically just simplifies the navigation of the site and shortens the learning curve for students.
Yeah, and I'll just speak very briefly because we talk a lot about the importance of building social capital and how important universities and colleges are in helping students build that social capital to set them up for the rest of their lives. This kind of engagement, especially in a world like today where things are virtual, this helps bring students together that might be in different geographical locations, engaging with an employer in a completely different geographical location. But as we start to see more and more students stacking multiple experiences, short-term flexible experiences, this really enables them to manage multiple projects, working with multiple groups of students, often different companies, sometimes across different courses or even different internship programs, all from the same dashboard. So if you're interested in really getting that sort of visual and support for your students so they can continue to stack experiences as they go through and really gain career clarity for upcoming roles in the organization, again, we'd love to check in. We'd love to collect your feedback. We'd love to tell you more about this feature.
Awesome. Then towards the end of 2020, we launched the Riipen Marketplace, which if you've been on our platform recently, I'm sure you've seen. The Riipen Marketplace essentially is a new landing page for app.riipen.com that lets us showcase content to our users that's tailored to their interests. So as an employer, for example, when you log on to Riipen, you're going to see featured courses of the week, but also featured courses in your categories of interest. So it's a way for us to deliver content to users in a more digestible way and increase their activity in the marketplace. We're also constantly rotating those featured items just to make sure that everybody gets a little exposure in the marketplace, and then every time you visit, you'll see something new. We're also rotating those featured categories every month just to make sure that we're highlighting different areas that employers or educators may be interested in participating in.
Absolutely. And just a quick comment on this one, because I always like to kind of bring this back again to the roots of Riipen. And again, talking about this open shared collaborative ecosystem. This is a great place. One of the things that we started doing in very early days of Riipen is we started building our own template library based on best practices that we're collecting from our community. But then something very magical happened. Essentially, thanks to our members, both employers and educators started sharing their own templates. And we've recently continued to grow that template library. This new launch helps share templates with you to think about see how others are innovating. And we've quickly become the largest and fastest growing template library for project-based work integrated learning in the world. So again, hope this will become a valuable resource for you. Share it with your network. And hopefully we can continue to innovate around work integrated learning and project-based learning for students. Excellent. And of course, can't do a product webinar without hearing from one of our educators. So hear from Chris here, an instructor at Lethbridge College, how he has leveraged Riipen to really make an impact for his students across the institution.
I'm at Lethbridge College. I'm an instructor in the Digital Communications and Media program. I just learned about Riipen earlier this year. Our college was partnering, and that there was an opportunity to get involved in any projects. And so I found two actually this semester. And so one is with Dorkaholics, which is the greatest name ever. They're based out of Los Angeles. And the other one is with the International Indigenous Speakers Bureau out of Saskatoon. And so it was really informative for the students, and I think a really great eye-opening experience for them. It was really a great opportunity for them to write something totally different than what they're usually used to. Luckily also that I've worked with some great partners who are very understanding. They have their needs that they want met based on how we have this partnership, but they also understand that the students have a lot of other projects that they're juggling at the same time. So there's been a lot of great discussions about kind of this give and take, and it's been nothing but positive. Open up possibly more doors for where they'd like to go after graduation, just to try a different style of writing, to see if it's a good fit. And if it's not a good fit, at least they had that opportunity to try it out. And to connect with an industry partner, I think was really great, because then they can build that relationship. And if they want, maybe they can even foster it, and it could turn into a job down the road for them. I was glad that I checked it out, because I had no idea what to anticipate, but it's been a really rewarding experience. And I think it paves the way for a lot of great opportunities in the future.
Excellent. Hope that was a valuable quick snapshot into how Chris is delivering.
I'm at left.
Oh, so next up, Emily. Oh, we've got Q&A. So I think we're going to do a quick pause here to answer a couple of questions. It looks like we might have a few in the chat.
Yeah.
Teacher, go ahead, Jen.
For sure. We have quite a few questions here, and just a quick reminder for anyone, if you have absolutely any questions, feel free to type it into the Q&A feature or into the chat. We're checking both. And if you do want to write something out on the chat, to kind of make sure to click the option to send the message to both the panelists and the attendees. That way everyone can see your message. Two very quick questions for you. The first one is a product related one, so more so for Emily. It's a question from Leanne. Our institution uses Orbis for our CRM. I've been advised that we would start seeing Riipen opportunities through Orbis. Is that going to happen? And if so, do you know when?
Great question. Yeah, thanks for asking that, Leanne. So the Riipen Orbis integration is actually live. We're very excited to say the functionality is built. So within your Orbis instance, you should see Riipen available as a channel partner. I unfortunately can't give precise instructions on how to turn it on, but I'd be happy to give you the right contact of the person at Orbis who can help with the instructions. But basically, what the Riipen Orbis channel partnership allows us to do is to promote content from Riipen within your Orbis instance. It doesn't actually work with the in-class model, so I just want to clarify that. With the course-based model, we don't cross-promote to Orbis just because we don't have a way of controlling that only the students in that course audience see it. So we're using it with the remote internship offering. So projects that have been approved for remote internships are will be cross-posted into your Orbis instance if you turn that on.
Fantastic. And I should just mention that we don't do the course-based integration yet, but obviously we have a fantastic relationship and partnership with Orbis. So that is definitely on the roadmap. Thank you for asking.
Awesome. One more quick question here, and just a reminder for everyone, we have another dedicated Q&A section at the very end. So I'm gonna, just for the sake of time, cut things off after this question. But it's a question from Lisa, and I'm gonna actually direct this to Dana. I think she's interested in bringing some companies into her own network into Riipen. And her question is, who do I contact at local companies to sign up with Riipen? Is it HR? Is it which team or which person would it be?
Excellent question, and we can definitely share a lot, shed some insights on what we've learned. HR is a great place to connect. Often HR is looking at innovative ways to build and diversify their talent pipeline, and this can often be seen as a way to engage talent earlier on, build those relationships, assess talent, and build a pipeline of candidates for upcoming roles in the organization. We often hear from HR teams that they are very used to just recruiting from the same school, the same program over and over again. Having project-based learning is an opportunity to start to dip their toe in and try different engagements at different institutions and access talent that they might not normally have been promoting job applications to, job descriptions to. But often we see a lot of engagement come from the individuals within those roles. So what I mean by that is, an actual employee. If you're looking for someone who's doing, if you're looking for data analytics projects, actually someone in the data analytics department. If you're looking for software development projects, an actual manager in that program. We get a ton of projects from small, medium businesses and not-for-profits and startups. And often at that level, it comes from the top down, and they'll start to activate their network of employees internally and onboard employees into their company profile to start all launching projects. So I hope that answers your question. Hope it's helpful. Lots of learning that we can continue to share on that. And if there isn't an article in the Riipen Academy, it's certainly one that we will definitely add.
Thanks, Dana. So we will have a little more Q&A towards the end, but I'm going to jump into upcoming feature releases. And for this, we're going to be looking at a shorter time frame, just the next 3 to 4 months or so. So first off, I wanted to mention an improvement we're really excited about that you should see live on the platform by the end of April. And this is an overhaul to the employer sign-up experience. So I know most of you are from the academic sphere on the call today, but this will really impact you by twofold. One, by increasing the number of opportunities available to you in the project marketplace, and two, by improving the experience of any companies you invite through the School Pass feature. So essentially, we've taken in feedback from employers about our sign-up process, learned a few places where we may be asking for more information than companies want to give during sign-up, maybe adding too many steps when they'd like to just get right in and create a project, and different ways that we can make the experience a little bit easier and smoother for them. So we've taken in all that feedback, and we have a new version of employee sign-up that we'll be launching within a few weeks, which will make the sign-up process much shorter and simpler for our employers, while also making sure that once they publish a project, that those projects still contain all the fields that you need in order to meaningfully assess and vet that company, including their website, their logo, their company bio, their industry, the employer's job title, and so on. So making sure we still capture all that information, but putting it into a different process so it feels easier and reduces the cognitive load for employers as they sign up. Our next big upcoming feature is a new way to showcase recommended content. So one thing that we sometimes hear from users is they've published a course, they've published a project, and they're not sure what they should do next. So we're introducing this new feature where as soon as you publish your project, course, or internship program, we're going to immediately give you kind of your own little mini Riipen marketplace. You've published this course, congratulations, here's what's next, here's the recommended content that aligns with the item that you've just published. So it's a new way to put recommendations front and center for users and encourage them to submit their project or submit their course to opportunities that align with it. So what this should result in is increased marketplace activity, but also reducing the effort that it takes you to interact with the marketplace and reduce your time to find a match. It's also a bit of an improvement for the School Pass experience as well. If you're a company who's been invited by an institution, when you publish your project to that institution, you're going to see recommended content that is only from the school that invited you. So it will be a new way to make sure that the companies you invite are really getting your content promoted to them. Next up, we have this feature is a bit of a long-term play. It has two sets of benefits. We will be introducing subcategories to the categories that we have today. Well, actually, the categories we have today will be changing a little bit, but we'll also be adding subcategories. And the intent for this is to let users get more granular about how they're tagging their content, which will allow you to navigate the search pages more effectively. Because, for example, rather than just searching marketing, you could actually drill down to SEO and get really targeted projects that fit the subcategory that you're looking for. But long term, rather than just browsability, this is also going to make a huge improvement to our automated recommendation engine. Our automated recommendation engine looks very much at categories, which is effective up to a point, but when a category is too broad, you can get bad fits, like a public relations project getting marketed to an SEO class, for example. So by adding subcategories, we'll be able to make sure that the recommended content that users get is a lot more accurate.
Absolutely. And I think it's also, very fair to say, wouldn't it be, Emily, that this doesn't, of course, this will improve the recommendations, but this doesn't necessarily change anything in the way that you go and access, or doesn't, it improves the recommendation engine, of course, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't access other projects in different categories in the same way you do today. Isn't that right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think what was really interesting here is that we talked a little bit about the recommendation engine. This is going to be improving the recommendation engine, but it's also, it's a way that we've learned. And I spoke about templates earlier, and as we continue to grow, we've continued to work with our partners and just build out and increase the richness and diversity of templates available, which of course encourages and builds out the richness and diversity of employers and projects available on the ecosystem. So as that richness and diversity continues to increase, these categories and subcategories will not only improve the recommendation engine, but it will also help you find the right content at the right time to meet the unique needs of your program. And we are very much looking forward to when this gets posted and seeing the types of templates that our member network continues to post. So please stay tuned and please leverage this tool and make sure that if you've got an exciting template they'd like to share, you're up there and sharing it.
Thanks, Dana. And then the last upcoming feature I'll speak to, got to save something for our next product coffee chat, is the custom questions feature. I think some of you on the call today actually may be some of the users who've requested this feature. And what this will actually allow you to do as an educator is request employers to fill in custom screening questions when they apply to your course or your internship program. So essentially, if you're recruiting for specific types of projects, or you have specific requirements employers must meet, or information that you must know about the employers in order for your students to get value out of their projects, you'll be able to set custom questions on your courses, and an employer won't be able to submit their project to your course until they've filled those in. So the intent here is to increase the quality of project applications for courses that have those requirements, make it easier for you to screen and easily accept or reject employers based on their answers to those custom questions, and then make it easier for you to recruit very targeted types of projects for those specialized programs. Dana, I know you've heard a lot of requests for this feature. Do you want to speak to a little bit about our reasoning for building it?
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't be more excited about this feature right here. I know this has been on the roadmap for quite some time now. It's a request that I remember hearing, even in the early days of Riipen. Obviously, when we first built Riipen, the real main goal was how do we empower more faculty members to transform their courses into a work integrated learning course. So most of the time, this was a faculty member who had never done this before, who saw the value, who wanted to transform their course into a work integrated learning course, but faced certain barriers, like they didn't have the right companies, they didn't have resources, they didn't necessarily know how to align the project-based learnings with the learning objectives of their programs. And so our sort of standardized way of doing that really set them up for success in many cases. But obviously, as I mentioned earlier, we learned very quickly, every institution is very unique, every educator is unique, every course is unique, every student is unique. And so there are a lot of well-established project-based learning programs out there that have been doing an incredible job, that have developed their own unique ways of delivering the right experiences to students at the right time. And so this is a feature that I'm incredibly proud of, that will now allow much more customizability to make sure that you're asking the right questions, getting the right organizations in with the right expectations to set your students up for success in a project-based learning opportunity. So definitely a great fit for those well-established project-based learning programs. They're looking for very specific requests from employers, but of course it's a feature that everyone can use and start to offer more customization to request certain information from employers at the outset. So congratulations on that one. I'm really very excited.
Thanks, Dana. So Dana, I'll just ask you to highlight briefly before we get into a few more questions, some of our product metrics.
So obviously this is what it's all about right here. And for some of you, the background story, we started this company as students, and the real goal was all really focused around students and how to deliver student experiences, high quality, high impact student experiences. So many of you also know the story that we launched our first platform in 2016, but we didn't actually start tracking this till 2017, until we had the reporting built in for all of our schools to start reporting on their own individual work integrated learning experiences. But when you look at it in aggregate, we're excited to say, I'm proud to announce that with your help, with this community, with this very engaged community, we've delivered over 80,000 student experiences since 2017. That's over 5 million experiential learning hours. And that's because of 6,000 connections between educators, employers on the platform. And what this is all really about, we're on track. What we're excited about, we made this announcement about a year ago, is to get to our, in some ways, for those even familiar with the tech world, our big, hairy, audacious goal is over 1 million student experiences by 2025. We're well on track. We're really excited about that. And that's just the beginning. But with your help, we can certainly continue to deliver and really impact the lives of students and learners and workers through work integrated learning.
Awesome. Just to kick our Q&A off again, we'd love to hear from you, our community. And if anyone's interested in asking the question live, there's at the bottom of your screen, you should be able to see a raise hand button. Feel free to click that, raise your hand, and the first 1 or 2 or 3 people who raise their hand, we'll actually invite them on stage to chat with us and ask their question live. But to kick things off, we had quite a few questions come in through the Q&A as well as the chat. The first one is a product question for Emily. Can you speak a bit more about the application functionality within the remote internship program? How can a student apply directly to organizations?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that we've maintained with our internships feature is still a level of screening by the academic institution. So before a student can access a project, it needs to have first been screened and approved by someone. So as the educator, for example, you set up your internship program to recruit applications from companies. You can approve as many company submissions and company projects as you'd like for your students. And then your students can go to your school portal and they can see every project that has been approved for them. So unlike the in-class model where they need to join their particular course and find the project assigned to them, they can access all of the approved internship projects under the projects tab of your school, and they can apply to them directly. So you can access reporting in progress on the status of those applications, but the students will be from that point interacting with the employer directly. Their application goes to the employer directly, the employer responds to it directly, and so on. So you don't need to actually invite students to particular projects unless, of course, you want to.
Awesome. A really great question from Diana just came in, and so I wanted to ask that really quickly. Again, it's another product-related question, but I think Dana, you can also chime in here. She asked, can you point to the benefits of using your platform to manage the projects we run with our students?
Yeah, I think the number one benefit is that transparency to the company is built in. So I know some experiential learning programs have been built to run in your learning management system. That tends to mean that you need to make updates manually and outside the system to any employers that you're working with. Whereas Riipen is designed so that all three parties in the experience, the educator, the student, and the employer, can see the progress live, be reminded of the progress live, give feedback on it in real time, and so on. So it's really designed for all three parties interacting, which most other tools may not necessarily be.
I think just to mention, just to add to that, is also with the collaboration and communication tools we built in-app chat, video chat, a number of notification tools. All that fits into the chat as well. The students get their own individual group chat. The students get a group chat with the organization, and the educator can also check in on the chat to see how the students are engaging with employers and offer support as needed. So to Emily's point, it's really been built and designed to save you as an educator time in making sure that your students are on track and they're getting the most out of the experience, as well as the employers getting the most out of the experience, because obviously the success of those experiences means more students wanting to engage, and of course, more employers wanting to come back and provide more project-based opportunities.
Awesome. That's actually a really great segue to another question that was asked earlier by Needy. Can you share more information regarding milestones? And this was during the time you were talking about the team page redesign.
Yeah, so milestones, if you've not used them before, milestones are generally configured by the educator. So if you're posting your course on Riipen, recruiting projects for it, you can set the key dates for the participants in that project. It might be, have your kickoff meeting by this date, submit your first draft by this date, submit a check-in report at this date. Those milestones are customizable and you can have as many of those as you want. Essentially, all parties will be reminded of those dates and the students will be asked to submit their progress at that point. So if the milestone, for example, is have your kickoff meeting, the students will be asked to validate, the students will be asked to validate that they did, in fact, have their kickoff meeting at that point. Whereas if it is, for example, an interim report, like a draft, the students will actually be asked to upload a copy of that. So a milestone can just be a text comment or it can be a file. And once it's posted, the educator and the employer can both see it and comment on it.
Awesome. We have quite a few more questions here. And if anyone has any other questions they want to ask, feel free to reach out to us, product@riipen.com or help@riipen.com. But I'll bring it back to Dana and Emily to close off.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. Incredible amount of questions. It's super exciting to see. Obviously, it sounds like for our next one, so part of the feedback I'm sure we'll be getting is offering more time for feedback and probably telling me to cut down a little bit on my rambling on what makes me so excited about Riipen. But we will have a chance. We'll save the chat. We will have a chance to try and reach out and respond to questions outside of this. I did want to just let you know, for those of you, some of this might be very familiar to you. This is our framework. We built a whole white paper on our framework of how to scale work integrated learning through online, through project-based, and of course through group. So the students can build those social connections and really develop those transferable skills from solving challenges in a group when others come from different perspectives. If you're interested in downloading it, we've popped a link into the chat. Highly encourage that you check it out. We're very proud of it, and obviously we have more white papers on the way. But besides that, thank you very much. It was fantastic. This is our first one. We'll be hosting this every quarter. We hope you join us again. Please keep the questions coming, and of course, you've got our contact information. So if you'd ever like to reach out, we'd love to engage with you further. We'd love your feedback on the product roadmap. It's really, this is a platform that's built with your feedback in mind. Some of the best features have really come from suggestions from you. So thank you for joining, and we look forward to staying connected.